So, my stomach just, dude, my stomach just growled to the point where it's like, hey, feed me, you fat fuck. It was awesome. Anyway, episode 2 of Amateur Hour Sports. Yeah, like we already discussed, we really don't have shit to talk about because neither one of us got really prepared this week. As far as like college football goes, I was traveling most of the day Saturday, so I didn't get to pay too much attention. But I watched a little bit of Ohio State and Indiana, a little bit of Wisconsin versus Northwestern, and that was really the extent of it. I didn't watch a whole lot on Saturday. What did you do all day Saturday?
Saturday, I was kind of in and out, so I didn't get a whole lot of chance to watch much football. I gotta say, I'm a little surprised the game for Indiana Ohio State was as close as it was.
Oh, dude, it was a hard fought game. And at one point, Indiana was down like 3 or 4 scores, and they only came back and they lost it by 1, which I thought was amazing. I think that's what it was. They lost to Ohio State by a touchdown.
Yep.
Let me go to the ever fan favorite Espen.
Ohio State won 42-35, so they did just squeak out a victory.
Yeah, and Wisconsin lost to Northwestern 17-7, but they were playing like shit from the little bit I saw. It was not pretty. So I didn't pay too much attention. The game that I kind of want to talk the most about was the Packer game. I watched the entire Green Bay Packers versus Indianapolis Colts game yesterday because obviously I'm from Wisconsin. Green Bay is my team. But holy shit, I thought Green Bay was going to come back and have a chance. And then when they fumbled the ball in OT like that, dude, that's when my heart fell through my asshole.
Yeah, you know I sent you that message going, yeah, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, let's not. Other than, I don't want to seem like I'm going to contradict myself because I really do like MVS. MVS is a solid player, but he has got to learn better ball protection. And it was a very good play by the defense. Wrap around, pretty much get a hold of him and get him to pop that ball loose. But at the same time, you got to know in a situation like that, you're in overtime and the game's on the line on that drive. You have got to hang on to the ball better. You had just had that huge play downfield to set them up so that way you guys could get that field goal to go to OT, and then you turn around and drop the ball. Now, this also kind of goes back to my special teams stuff too, because on special teams, there was an instance where Shepard dropped the ball. Really dropped the ball, literally. And I've never been a huge fan of Darius Shepard. And they keep him around, so they obviously is something they like. And I'm not in that office, but the biggest thing Green Bay has to do right now is protect the ball. They had too many turnovers yesterday in order for them to win.
NFL-wise, I got to give credit to Taysom Hill.
Oh, Taysom Hill, yeah.
Coming into getting his first start here for the New Orleans Saints.
Dude,
he did pretty well. 233 yards, didn't get a touchdown, but didn't throw an interception.
Taysom Hill is coming along great, and I think Sean Payton's going to bring out the best in him, and that was one of the things that I really liked. And when they announced him as a starter on Friday, I was like, all right, here we go. And I talked to my dad a little bit about it because I spent Saturday with my dad down out of town so that way he could have Thanksgiving with us kids. And while we were down there, that was one of the things that we were talking a little bit about. And he didn't agree with that choice. He thought Jameis Winston should have been the starter so that way they could use Taysom Hill and more of those gadget plays. I think Taysom Hill just proved it. He just said flat out, he goes, hey, I'm going to be the starter when Breeze is done. This is it. Well, this is what you guys are looking forward to. And he made a statement with that game.
Well, the Saints are indicating that next week when they go to Denver, that Hill will be their starting quarterback.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. Look what they did last year with Teddy Bridgewater. They made Teddy Bridgewater the starter, and they stuck with him, and he went, I think it was 5-0 before Breeze came back. But regardless, 6-0, something like that. I don't remember. Regardless, Taysom Hill put on a show yesterday and proved to everybody that he does belong in the NFL. I can't wait to see what's going to come from that.
Now, the question is it more him starting because they have more faith in him, or do the Saints just have that little faith in Winston?
So, I think the reason they did this, and my 100% opinion on this, is they decided that they were going to start him because last year they had made the notion that when Drew Brees retires, Taysom Hill is going to be their guy, and then they decided to start Teddy Bridgewater. They went on to win those games. So be it. I think that with this, they're going to keep. It's not the lack of trust in Jameis or anything like that, but it's all right. He's going to be our guy. We're going to start him and get him these starting reps, so that way he's comfortable when he comes in as their starter in the future. I think that's mostly what it boiled down to. Is they wanted to be like, yep, he's going to be our starter. This is the guy you guys are going to... Kind of like Green Bay when they drafted Jordan Love. They're like, yeah, this is going to be our guy. When Rodgers goes, if all goes as planned, this is going to be our guy. So it's one of those things that you never really know until you try, and it isn't lack of trust in Jameis because you got to remember, too, he just had that eye surgery. He can actually see his players now. So I think that's the big thing there.
I mean, he's had that eye surgery, but that was a while ago.
Right, but he can actually see on the field now. That's the difference. He's not going to necessarily put up 30 for 30 like he did last year.
Now, the only other thing with the NFL going on right now here as we're recording is we do have Monday Night Football.
Yes.
And that's the Rams at the Bucks.
That's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm personally probably not going to watch it. Just kind of... I've got other things that I've got to do in preparation. For those of you that don't know, my girlfriend... Today is the 23rd. We're recording this on Monday the 23rd instead of Tuesday the 24th like we planned on doing. But mostly because my better half is going to be in town tomorrow, so we kind of had to get it in a little early. But while I'm preparing tonight, I'll probably listen to the game, but I won't actually watch it. But that being said, I'm looking forward to it because Tampa Bay's defense has been pretty solid, pretty consistent. But at the same time, look what just happened against the Saints. I mean, they got shut down.
I have Tampa Bay winning by 3.
I think honestly in that I think Tampa Bay is going to win by 6 or 7. I think it's going to be a closer game, but it's not going to necessarily be a shootout. The defenses are going to be showing up and showing off, but at the same time, it's going to come down to how many turnovers does Goff have, and it's also going to come down to can Tampa Bay effectively move the ball down the field.
Now, there is one other game I do want to talk about real quick, and that's just the mollywhopping Alabama gave Kentucky.
Oh, jeez.
63-3.
Jesus. It is. That is a mollywhopping and a half. But at the same time, well, it's Alabama. They get what they want. They really do. I don't want to seem like that guy that's Alabama gets what they pretty much their way pretty much damn near any game they go into.
I mean, the only offense really Kentucky had was part of their defense when they did pick off Jones.
Right.
But that was basically
But it's still that aspect of they get what they want. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They really do get what they want. I don't know how else to put it better. I did see some moves in NBA, but as far as the NBA goes right now, ain't nobody give a fuck about the NBA. If you do watch this and you give a fuck about the NBA, tell me I'm an idiot. I don't care. But in retrospect, NBA hasn't really started. The other night I was sitting there, I'm sitting at my mom's, and I went, what's on for sports tonight? It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. My stepdad goes, the NBA draft, and I went, ain't nobody give a fuck about the NBA draft.
No, not really.
It's just like the MLB draft. There's just so many people that are going into it. It's like, do we really want to try to? There's just too many games. The NFL is easier to follow, and college is easier to follow. Like as far as football goes, it's one of the easiest things to follow because they only have 17 weeks.
Yeah.
And then playoffs. Whereas with baseball and basketball, you really only pay attention closer to the All-Star breaks because you want to see who's going to be an All-Star. And then you also pay attention closer towards the playoffs because that's like, all right, well, which teams are hot, which teams are going to stand a chance. And most of the people end up betting more or less when it comes to things like that. Which, mind you, I have no idea when it comes to betting what the fuck I'm looking at when I look at the spread and shit like that. So, to anyone out there that's listening, if we can find somebody that is good with all that, feel free to contact us because we could definitely use an insider on as far as gambling goes for those that do enjoy it. Because I can't help you with it. I can just tell you what I see and what I think is going to be awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately for where I'm at, can't really gamble on it anyway.
Well, that's right. In some states, don't let you. All right, let's see here. What do we have coming up? Bum, 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 bum. Schedule. I want to see. Da, da, da. Give me.
So let's hear next week.
That's what I'm looking at. I want to see who's playing Thursday. So
Your
Thursday.
Packers are the Sunday night game next week
Oh, I
against
know.
Chicago in Green Bay.
Yeah, it's our first game against them of the year, so that's going to be a fun one to watch, especially with them coming off the bye and having just lost to the Vikings the week before. Mind you, it's been a while since Green Bay lost to Chicago in Green Bay, so that's going to be a fun one to watch next week Sunday night. For those of you that, dude, if it wouldn't be copywritten, I might go live on YouTube for those out there that enjoy watching this, and I might watch the game on my TV, and while I'm watching the game, I might have my face cam on so you guys can kind of watch my reactions, but obviously you have to put the game on your own stuff, and I'll have the TV muted because obviously we don't need copyright claims, and I don't want the NFL to be like, oh, he's streaming our game. No, we don't want that. But my point is the games that I'm looking forward to are on Thursday right now because
Yeah, that Baltimore at Pittsburgh game.
That's going to be insane because Baltimore just ended up losing to Tennessee. And that actually kind of links into what I started talking about when we first got into our call here. This week, when Baltimore played against Tennessee in Baltimore, their players were out on the field near the logo, I guess. And Jim Harbaugh came out and said something to him, and then one of the guys was more or less gave him one of the "hey, fuck yous," like get out of our face kind of thing. And then Mike Vrabel ended up in a heated argument, and this is pregame, mind you. This is before the game's even started. And I honestly, I agree with what Pat McAfee had to say in that situation. Mike Vrabel is going to beat John Harbaugh. He's going to beat him. And it's not going to be an easy thing. Like he will pin arms down. Mike Vrabel stands, I want to say 6'4", and he weighs like 260 pounds. And he's a former middle linebacker. Jim Harbaugh is like 6 foot, 200 pounds. In your opinion, who's going to win that fight?
Yeah, Harbaugh is going to go down hard.
Vrabel's going to put him on the ground and sit on his chest until he can't breathe. And then he's going to get up and be like, have you had enough? And it's not a crack at him being fat. It's just a crack at him being a monster of a human. That is, when I hear 6'4", 261, the first thing I do, mind you, I'm just shy of 6 foot and I weigh 230. When I hear 6'4", 261, the first thing I'm doing is going, well, fuck, if I'm in a fight with that guy, I hope he's on my side. I hope he's on my side, not against me. But that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game, going back to that's going to be a fun game to watch because Pittsburgh's undefeated, and Baltimore is like, nah, we want to make sure that you guys stay a little bit grounded here, and we need to win our game so we can make a run. So that's going to be a definite fun game to watch. And that's a night game, too. So it's going to be primetime television. The afternoon game, Dallas and Washington. Battle for whoever wins that game, right, technically takes sole possession of the AFC East, or the NFC East.
And we do have to give Dallas credit. They did win Sunday.
Against Minnesota?
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, that's good.
So, I mean...
Congrats to Big Mike.
They finally did get a win again.
Congrats to Mike. Mike McCarthy has always been a solid coach in my opinion. I was part of the crew that ran him out of Green Bay because he just was not making the right decisions in my opinion, and it is what it is. I wish the guy the best, but at the same time, I don't wish him the best in Green Bay. So that's gonna be a fun one to watch. I want to see if Mike's gonna be able to pull out another win there and keep the ball rolling. If Dallas has a chance at making the playoffs, are they gonna go far against half these teams? No, but they still have a pretty talented team. Well, look at what CeeDee Lamb just did. They have a solid team. So the other one that the first game of the day, Detroit and Houston. That one, Houston should win that one hands down. If Houston doesn't win that one, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Houston should easily win that one.
Didn't they just play each other too? Who did Detroit play this week that they lost to? Detroit
played Carolina
and lost 20 to nothing. Yeah, and that was PJ Walker's first start in the NFL. So yeah, that one's gonna be kind of fun to watch. Washington's on a pretty good tear right now, and they just knocked out Joe Burrow for the year. It wasn't intentional, I hope, but they ended up taking him out for the year.
Yeah, best wish for Joe Burrow on a quick recovery on that one.
So I was looking into it. From what I understand, is there was Carson Wentz had roughly the same injury, a few years ago. I think that was the year that they won the Super Bowl. He had the same injury happen about 2 weeks later, and then he missed the first 2 weeks of the following season. So if all goes well, Burrow should be back in opening week. He probably won't play a whole lot of preseason, but Joe Burrow should be back next season at the start of the season, provided everything goes well and he heals properly.
Provided. And, of course, our usual quick Jets check. They did lose 34-28 to the Chargers, so they are 0-10.
And then on Sunday they play Miami. So
yeah, that's going to be ugly.
Tanking Jets. Mandatory Jets talk. I love it. Can we just give them an award now for being the worst team in the NFL this year? Like, honestly, I think that the NFL Honors needs to make it up and hand Adam Gase an award this year for being the biggest fucking stooge to ever set foot on a football field.
I will say this. If the Jets do win this season, they will not be considered the worst team this year. That award will go to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh yeah. So did you know that if you rub behind your ear, it smells horrible, kind of like your belly button?
And on that note, folks, we will wish you a
No. We are not done with this. I don't know why that just popped into my head. But like I said from episode 1, we're not professionals, and I have some pretty horrible ADHD, so I bounce topics quite often. Cleveland's on a roll. Cleveland's playing some pretty good football. I'm actually pretty stoked at the way that they've been playing.
They beat the 3-5-1 Eagles 22-17.
Well, that's but
it's the Eagles.
But for the most part, they've been playing pretty solid football. I mean, let's look. Their current record, they're 7-3. They're 7-3 and second in the AFC North. They're playing good football. Their 3 losses have come from the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Raiders, who all have been playing pretty good football. And the Steelers won, they really got blown out. The Raiders, they were down by 10 and lost. And the Ravens, they got blown out. So it looks to me like the Browns have got a pretty solid team. They just have to hone in their stuff. I think next season will be a great season for them, provided nobody gets hurt and they can keep everyone around. But I'm pretty sure they don't have any major people coming off the roster next year. I'm pretty sure that everybody they have can be re-signed, or everyone's already under contract, so they don't have to worry too much about it. Other than maybe Odell. But even then, I'm not 100% sure. But, yeah, I mean, the team, like the overall standings are pretty ridiculous right now. Like, let's look at some of these teams that are up there. We got the Bills at 7-3. The Dolphins are 6-4. The Dolphins, that's a team you didn't expect because of how bad they played last year, and now they're 6-4. They've got a winning season rolling, and they're second in the AFC East, over the Patriots and the Jets. That's nuts.
Yeah, that just shows the Patriots are not as big of a team without.
Well, they also had look how many people they had opt out this year too, especially defensive players. their defense has always been what's really kind of carried them, with Brady's compliments from offense putting up those big numbers. But the defense is really what was there, and they had like 7 or 8 people opt out this season, and most of it was defensive starters. So I kind of don't want to hate on the Patriots too much, because next season is a whole new season. You'll never know. This season's always been kind of weird. Period. But now let's move on to the AFC North. We got the Steelers, obviously 10-0, best team in football right now. They are playing phenomenal football, phenomenally, and they are predicted to go to the Super Bowl and win it. I don't see why they couldn't. But the question is are they going to be able to do it where they go 17-0 during the regular season, or 16-0 during the regular season, then make the run to the Super Bowl and win?
Yeah. Do they break the record that Miami Dolphins in the Shula era, where they go undefeated?
I don't remember what year that was. Anyway, but then followed closely behind, like not too far behind, 3 games back, you got the 7-3 Browns. I mean, they still have a shot at making a run. You got the Colts and Tennessee, both at 7-3, tied in the AFC South. Then in the AFC West, you got Kansas City, who's 9-1, and Las Vegas, who's 6-4, right behind them. I mean, so far, you got these top teams are all solid records. They're not cutting it. Like the closest really is the Raiders and Miami at 6-4 are closest to being dead nuts even. But even then, those guys are pretty popped off, and I'm pretty proud of that. And then now let's move to the NFC and to the worst division in football, in my opinion, right now. The NFC East.
Philadelphia Eagles being top of the NFC East because they have a tie.
Because of a tie with the Bengals, they sit atop the NFC East, and they're holding it down. Now, obviously Thursday we're gonna have a new NFC East leader, but then we'll see how it goes rolling into the rest of the games for the week. But we could see either Dallas on top or Washington on top, which honestly, both teams are dumpster fires.
I honestly see Dallas being top of the NFC East by the end of next week.
It's like the age-old question: what do you get when you put $100 suit on a turd?
You get an expensive-looking turd.
An expensive piece of shit. I feel bad for Jerry Jones this year with everything that they've gone through. Especially, you got to think though, with the Cowboys, most of these games they've beaten themselves on. They'd come close, and then all of a sudden they just give it up. It is what it is. I feel for Cowboys fans, but at the same time, fuck you, Cowboys fans. I don't want to hear you.
Now, you did hear how McCarthy kind of psyched up his team.
Well, you got to remember too, that was an old division rival playing Minnesota.
Yes, but he actually traveled to Minnesota with a sledgehammer and watermelon, and broke the watermelon with the sledgehammer to drive home a point.
Yeah, that's McCarthy though. McCarthy's he's odd like that.
I mean, when you're now 3-7, you got to figure out anything to try and hype up your men.
Oh yeah,
It's simple.
So then we're gonna move to what I feel is the greatest in the NFC, like the greatest conference in the NFC. Now we're not power stacked like most of them, but we usually end up winning it. But it's always been a close neck race. The NFC North. The NFC North every single year, it's either run away with by the Packers or it's a tight knit race throughout most of the season. Right now, Green Bay's 7-3, Chicago's 5-5, Minnesota's 4-6, Detroit's 4-6. That's probably one of the other than the NFC East right now, obviously. That's probably one of the closest divisions in football. It always is, because there's so much rivalry in between these, that when it comes to the conference games, it doesn't matter if it's the Bears versus the Vikings, the Lions versus the Packers. It doesn't seem to matter. There's always so much heat and rivalry. It makes for some of the best football games. Look at a few years ago when Rodgers got hurt and came back in and just completely wiped the floor with came down from 3 scores to win the game in an opening night thriller for the ages. It is always, the NFC North has always been such a close, tight-knit group, and it's always hard to see who's going to come out on top until towards the very end. Right now, it looks like the Packers are going to take it. If everything goes well, we could repeat our 13-3 season that we just had last year, which honestly we're kind of on the verge of doing that again. We're really pushing. They're making their plays. They're pushing the ball down the field, and the defense is kind of what's been letting us down for the most part.
Well, with that, we go to my division, NFC South,
which is truly, in my opinion, a stacked division because the Falcons have had several good runs. This year, they're not doing great. They're choking away leads left and right. Yeah. The Panthers aren't
Falcons
doing...
sitting in the bottom. Panthers are doing okay, but they could have been better if they kept Cam, honestly.
Oh, they would have been a lot better off if they would have kept Cam. But we also knew that it was that time. He came off that injury. They weren't going to necessarily keep him around, especially when Ron Rivera left. All that. However,
two teams to talk about are the New Orleans Saints at 8-2 and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 7-3.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing to talk about. Is Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year at this time, they were where the Atlanta Falcons are. They weren't winning a ton of games. They were barely pushing their luck, and now with that entire new offense in there with Brady, that is rolling. Now it's just a matter of the defense keeping their part. And as far as the Panthers go, not much we can talk about there. I mean, they're doing their best to kind of keep their drive alive. I think that they'll come close to a winning season. I don't know if they'll hit the winning season this year, but they'll come close to breaking even.
Yeah, they may squeak by at 500.
I don't think the Falcons are going to though. The Falcons are falling apart. And it sounds like after this year, Matty Ice might not be in Atlanta anymore. It sounds like they may get rid of him. And then we'll move to the NFC West, which is also usually a very tight knit. That one right now is extremely close. 7-3 Seahawks, 6-3 Rams, 6-4 Cardinals, 4-6 San Francisco 49ers. Now, with the 49ers in their defense, they do have a ton of injuries. Garoppolo's being out. They lost. What's his name? The defensive end.
Oh. See here.
Bosa is the last name. Nick Bosa. When they lost Nick Bosa, that was kind of what really dropped them, and kind of screwed them a little bit. But it is what it is. There's not much they can do. All they can really do is kind of hang in there for the rest of the year and hope that next year they can keep everybody around. And then maybe they can get themselves going. And the other thing is there's talk of Garoppolo possibly being gone because of him being injured and all that, missing a season. Yeah, last year he had such a great season, but he was healthy. Not many places want to take a chance on a health risk. They want to try to find someone that's going to be able to play nonstop and not have an issue. But Arizona is on some hot ball, especially with that offseason acquisition in DeAndre Hopkins. Dude is a baller. I still can't get over the fact that he mossed 3 defenders. And when you look at the replay, he's so sure of getting the ball when he goes up for it. I love it. And as much as I think Devontae Adams needs to be talked about in those elite receiver groups, DeAndre Hopkins got best receiver on lock. I'm an avid Packer fan. I love Devontae Adams. I love the work he does and the way they work him across the field. But Hop's down there somewhere. In the words of Kyler Murray, hop down there somewhere.
I mean, looking at the stats for the 49ers, Mullen and Garoppolo both played 6 games. Mullen's got the better stats.
Yeah.
After this season, Garoppolo may lose his spot in San Francisco, and Mullins may be the new future star for the Niners.
But only time will tell that. That being said, though, I think this is where we should wrap it up for the night. Shorter video this week, but again, extenuating circumstances caused me to not necessarily have all the time, but we made sure to make this happen for you guys. Thank you, everybody that watches this and keeps an eye out. Moving forward, we plan on hopefully getting a couple more people to join the cast, and like I said, we could use a gambling analyst. Pat McAfee, if you're listening, send me someone. I doubt you're listening, but it'd be awesome. That would be like the highlight of my life. Just if Pat McAfee were to comment on one of these, dude, I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I retire. My life is complete. But that being said, I'm Will.
I'm Kevin.
And we will see you guys next week Wednesday for our usual, and we will make sure to wait for all the games to be played before we talk. That being said, we'll see you guys next week. See you.
Have a happy Thanksgiving, folks.